human.
Let me give you one piece of advice. Be honest. He knows more than you can imagine.
Mind scientists, or the study of human behavior in relation to the mind, is the newest of all the arts. It's less than 100 years old. And it is by far the one that is most cloaked in secrecy. MK Ultra. MK Ultra. Project Paperclip. Mind control. CIA operation. MK Ultra was one program, a series of programs that came out of the CIA to experiment with different types of mind control, using drugs, using electroshock, using insulin shock, mind control. CIA operation. MK Ultra.
Well, going on this one is, to tie more, into the possibilities of more so of NSA's ties than CIA's with these false flag operations, the techniques being used on American civilians to cause gun control via false flag shootings, which should go into, like I said, what tied before about the gaslighting, gang stalking, Microtry, MK Ultra, and what I did earlier is I looked up and followed on from psychological reasons behind serial killers themselves and murderers, and what I saw on there was a lot of things that tie to me.
Like I said, where he was driven into going on into a killing, and like I said, what ties to my situation more than his, although he showed signs were humiliation, exposure, rejection, etc. And the perception changes of injustice. Feeling like you're being shat on, and there's no justice but there's injustice, and induced paranoia. All of those symptoms in that article. And like I said, in my situation, it's like wanting to feel more powerful. And what ties to these rejection is to do with the gaslighting, the humiliation, degradation of me when I went out into town, making me feel humiliated, testing me and stuff, judging me and stuff, or making me feel awkward. Induced stress and paranoia because you feel like you're being harassed, and then you start to focus on the gang stalking so much that you don't really take notice of your own business. You're always worried when you go out, and that causes humiliation, degradation, exposure as well. You feel like you're being harassed. Loss of power, needing to feel powerful, is basically having your rights taken away, which you would feel. Privacy and freedom, that causes the person, what they say, criminal profile to do what they do. They feel like they have to kill to feel powerful, and they get the dominance back, especially as a male. As you know, your self-dependence, independence is important, and this ties to Elliot Rodgers as to why he would have done those things. Like I said, it's all deliberately inflicted, which we'll go on to. There's loads of things in there that point to that. And like I said, humiliation, exposure, ties to my situation more, where I feel I'm being watched and stuff. And it's like, I feel exposed. I don't have my privacy to myself. When I get in the bath, I feel exposed. Even my situation, I sense sexual vibes, which I don't find disturbing, which is all causes stress and trauma to my body. Every time I feel those vibes, it causes a bad memory. It causes me to have worse memories what tied to that. With this Elliot Rodgers, I most likely believe, tied to the gaslighting technique, that basically where they say the person feels they're under constant surveillance. It was possibly done to him. And like I said, me and Elliot Rodgers, we share a lot of similarities in how we were speaking, that recording I made in him, to say that what's being done to me, or what was, whatever, is of course for me to do something like he would have done stateside, and it's very serious. His case of rejection was females rejecting him, and like I said, on his campus, most likely they would have been bribed to do the gaslighting, where they, where would have been females and stuff to do it, and this would have been the course. Psychological trauma, or induced trauma, would be what they said, FBI profiling the serial killers in this case. It would have been electronic rapes, them trying to convert it to homosexuality. Well, I know that they were trying to convert into it as much as me, because, he kept on saying all I ever wanted was a girlfriend, a lady and stuff. I'm a virgin, all I was trying to look for is a lady to have sex with and stuff. It was showing signs that it was probably homosexuality was being forced on him. And like I said, I've mentioned myself a few times, that I've always wanted a lady. I didn't mention on the recording, but like I said, it was being done to me. Like I said, that's induced trauma. If he felt that they were electronic rapes and he felt violated, it causes a lot of trauma.
which is the real name of the person, California Shooter. And what I showed on the previous video where we were having the same symptoms. Now analysis comparison of our views, behaviour. You know, it's like the root of evil planted inside your soul. And it spreads in your body and your brain. And the more evil you will become, the more you get, the more darker your souls become. And this is why I condemn, and I guess I do despise and resent evil of the earth, because I learn very well from evil people, and you know, the experience as to why. Just don't like to feel, you know, this emotion I'm feeling. I like to be a peaceful man inside. I like to feel more calm. You know, as long as I feel generally peaceful and calm, rather than feeling, you know, bitterness and resentment. You know, like a fire, a rage in my soul. But every time I start thinking and remembering of this stuff, and people like yourself, you know, it reminds me, you know, I start feeling this rage inside me, of anger and despair. But, you know, at least I know that I experience what many people have to know, you know, that the evil does walk this earth. And, you know, the evil does destroy every single good thing on this earth, not just people, every living thing. And they don't contribute anything to the earth. You know, how can something that destroys the earth, you know, contribute to the earth with what it does? Any kind of evil living thing on this earth. How could it contribute to the earth? You know, with what it does, it destroys. And ironically, you know, it's in the form of people more than anything on this earth. People are injected with money and greed. Don't contribute anything to the earth. You just waste. A waste of air. But as I said, that's how the world is. You know, the evil of this earth. We have the good and the bad. The way I look at this world and I analyse, you know, most of what's going on. Like I said, it's like the evil is spreading amongst the good. And it's hard to find the good. And that's just a shame, you know, to see the world like that.
Push my luck over the top of a cliff. I don't bite the hand that feeds me, I chew it off at the wrist. I forge a sword from a thunderbolt.
The hate disappeared in his flight, he would pray. Day after day in his heart would return. Learn from mistakes, he was starting to learn. Turning the time while he bombed and he cried. Tried to survive but he managed to yearn. Burned up a smoke so he wrote up his minds. Blind to the fact that the world in the eyes looked to the bloke like a joke with the lies. Turning 29 when this moment of truth was open cause of smoke and hope an answer was soothless. But this wasn't true, so this dude's getting punished. Now he knows the score, it's a war and it's rubbish. Stuck him in the bottom and they plotting to stop him. Cuff him when they shot him, popping blocks in his rotten. Got him to the point that he's ready to die.
And I'm rubbing salt into bullet wounds just to make the slug dissolve.
Fly but disguised by it's not so surprised. He's wise from the lies but he smiles from a moment. An angel repaired him with the heaven inside. He died when he lost us, and his soul showed the sun from the dark. I eyes got the signs of a millennium staring. Peace, peace. Ready to die.
This is where it all ends. Ended there. What a life it was. So nice.
A mass murderer's last message from beyond the grave. Cho Song-hui recorded this rambling, often incoherent rant over several days, along with dozens of photos of himself brandishing weapons, both knives and the guns he used in the killings, apparently seeking revenge on a world he believed was out to belittle and humiliate him.
You had 100 billion chances and ways to have avoided today, but you decided to spill my blood. You forced me into a corner and gave me only one option. The decision was yours. Now you have blood on your hands that will never wash off.
After the first shootings, Cho returned to his room to collect and post the chilling package to a television network before returning to the campus to continue his violent rampage.
Do you think I wanted to do this? Do you think I've ever dreamed of dying like this in a million years? I didn't want to do this.
Much of Cho's anger was directed at the wealthy and successful. He rails against Christianity, praises the Columbine killers, and sees himself as a crusader for the weak.
You had everything you wanted. Your Mercedes wasn't enough, you brat. Your golden necklaces weren't enough, you snob. Your trust fund wasn't enough. Your vodka and cognac weren't enough. All your debaucheries weren't enough. Those weren't enough to fulfill your hedonistic needs. You had everything.
Cho's bizarre missive does explain one mystery, the 2-hour gap between the first and second shootings. This is the Blacksburg post office where the killer came to send his final macabre message. The clerk stamped the package like this one, 9:01 in the morning. 40 minutes later, he was back on campus to complete his deadly mission. At Virginia Tech, shocked students watched the killer of their friends and colleagues with a mixture of horror and fascination.
It's really disturbing, especially when he's standing there, pointing both guns at you like that. I can only imagine that's what people indoors had to witness.
Earlier it emerged there'd been plenty of warnings about Cho's dangerous mental state. He'd been referred to a psychiatric hospital over a year before, though it's unclear whether he ever received treatment. Documents show he had been ruled an imminent threat to himself and others by a judge, yet somehow slipped through the system. It's now clear this disturbed young man was a ticking time bomb, who no one stopped, despite numerous warnings. James Westhead, BBC News, at Virginia.
He's not going to be stingy with his CDs. In fact, he says he's going to share with his family. Vester Flanagan, WTOC News.
Court records have revealed Vester Flanagan, a former Virginia reporter who fatally shot his former co-workers on live television Wednesday, had a tumultuous history with his WDBJ co-workers, especially photographers. According to BuzzFeed reporter Ellie Hall, internal memos from Flanagan's 10 months at WDBJ detail his contentious working relationships with the station's cameramen. They also document his belief that then-intern Allison Parker, whom authorities said he shot and killed on live television Wednesday, made racist remarks toward him. The files are part of court record from a civil lawsuit that Flanagan filed against the station in March 2014, a year after he was fired. In the lawsuit, Flanagan claimed that he had suffered harassment, racial and sexual discrimination, and retaliation before he was terminated.
This is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity, against all of you. For the last 8 years of my life, ever since I've hit puberty, I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires, all because girls have never been attracted to me. Girls gave their affection and sex and love to other men, but never to me. I'm 22 years old, and I'm still a virgin. I've never even kissed a girl. I've been through college for 2.5 years. More than that, actually. And I'm still a virgin. It has been very torturous. College is the time when everyone experiences those things such as sex and fun and pleasure. But in those years, I've had to rot in loneliness. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. It's an injustice, a crime, because I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men, instead of me, the supreme gentleman. I will punish all of you for it. On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB. And I will slaughter every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde slut I see inside there. All those girls that I've desired so much, they would have all rejected me and looked down upon me as an inferior man if I ever made a sexual advance towards them, while they throw themselves at these obnoxious brutes. I'll take great pleasure in slaughtering all of you. You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one, the true alpha male. Yes. After I've annihilated every single girl in the sorority house, I'll take to the streets of Isla Vista and slay every single person I see there. All those popular kids who live such lives of hedonistic pleasure while I've had to rot in loneliness for all these years. They've all looked down upon me every time I tried to go out and join them. They've all treated me like a mouse. Well, now, I will be a god compared to you. You will all be animals. You are animals, and I will slaughter you like animals. I'll be a god, exacting my retribution on all those who deserve it. And you do deserve it, just for the crime of living a better life than me. All you popular kids, you've never accepted me, and now you'll all pay for it. And girls, all I've ever wanted was to love you and to be loved by you. I've wanted a girlfriend. I've wanted sex. I've wanted love, affection, adoration. But you think I'm unworthy of it. That's a crime that can never be forgiven. If I can't have you, girls, I will destroy you. You denied me a happy life, and in turn, I will deny all of you life. It's only fair. I hate all of you. Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species. If I had it in my power, I would stop at nothing to reduce every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood. and rightfully so. You deserve to be annihilated. And I'll give that to you. You never showed me any mercy, and so I will show you none. You forced me to suffer all my life, and now I'll make you all suffer. I've waited a long time for this. I'll give you exactly what you deserve. All
like it said, where he was driven into going on into a killing. And like I said, what ties to my situation more than his, although he showed signs, were humiliation, exposure, rejection, etc. And the perception changes of injustice. Feeling like you're being shat on, and there's no justice for it, there's injustice, and induced paranoia. All of those symptoms in that article. And like I said, in my situation, it's like wanting to feel more powerful. And what ties to these: rejection, which to do with the gaslighting, the humiliation, degradation of me when I went out into town, making me feel humiliated, testing me and stuff, judging me and stuff, or making me feel awkward. This induced stress and paranoia because you feel like you're being harassed, and then you start to focus on the gang stalking so much that you don't really take notice of your own business. You're always worried when you go out, and that causes humiliation, degradation, exposure as well. You feel like you're being harassed. Loss of power, needing to feel powerful, is basically having your rights taken away, which you would feel. Privacy and freedom, that causes the person, what they say, criminal profile, to do what they do. They feel that they have to kill to feel powerful, and they get their dominance back, especially as a male. As you know, your self-dependence, independence is important, and this ties to Elliot Rodgers as to why he would have done those things. Like I said, it's all deliberately inflicted, which I'll go on to. There was loads of things in there that point to that, and like I said, humiliation, exposure ties to my situation more, where I feel I'm being watched and stuff, and it's like I feel exposed. I don't have my privacy to myself. When I get in the bath, I feel exposed. Even my situation, I sense sexual vibes which I don't find disturbing, which is all causes stress and trauma to my body. Every time I feel those vibes, it causes a bad memory. It causes me to have worse memories what tie to that. With this Elliot Rodgers, I most likely believe tied to the gaslighting technique, that basically where they say the person feels they're under constant surveillance. It was possibly done to him. And like I said, me and Elliot Rodgers, we share a lot of similarities on how he was speaking. That recording I made in him to say that what's being done to me, or whatever, is a cause for me to do something like he would have done stateside, and it's very serious. His case of rejection was females rejecting him, and like I said, in his campus, most likely they would have been bribed to do the gaslighting, where they, where it would have been females and stuff to do it, and this would have been the cause. Psychological trauma or induced trauma would be what they said, FBI profiling of serial killers. In his case, it would have been electronic rapes, them trying to convert him to homosexuality. Well, I know that they were trying to convert him to it as much as me, because he kept on saying all I ever wanted was a girlfriend, a lady and stuff. I'm a virgin, all I was trying to look for is a lady to have sex with and stuff. He was showing signs that he was probably homosexuality was being forced on him. And like I said, I've mentioned myself a few times that I've always wanted a lady. I didn't mention on the recording, but like I said, it was being done to me. Like I said, that's induced trauma. If he felt that they were electronic rapes and he felt violated, it causes a lot of traumatic memory on the person. I don't know about females, but males it does. And those memories cause of a lot of psychotic episodes and stuff as they did with me. And like I said, it causes psychotic, or causes them to be psychotic in the first place, along with all of the techniques used: gaslighting, gang stalking, the humiliation, the exposure, the feeling of loss of power because his freedom and rights, privacy have been taken away. What he must have felt was to go and do that to get his power back, and how he saw and viewed things, which were more females of he saw, more generally with the people. But as seen in his case, he went on a killing spree, and it was very, very serious. And what I'm trying to show is analysis in comparison of him and me. Like I said, I've not really gone through the other videos of these last word videos of others. But when I saw this Elliot Graham, me and him will show similarities. Like I said, it's a very, very serious subject, and when it's deliberately inflicted, which I'll follow on to as to why, it can cause a man to, I know from a man's side, to go a bit crazy and insane. Like I said, it's a psychological trauma, and it can drive a person insane. What I was saying before was, now the FBI, an FBI profiler who saw how the psychological reasons behind murderers, serial killers, if they showed their studies as to why, which I'll leave on that page I'll put on there, and what they're showing, which I noted down, and followed on to say what I said was to say, that's how they profiled the general white male or whatever male serial killer, and let's say in the eyes of MK Ultra's program from CIA's agency branch. Now, if they already knew or learned from the FBI's branch of how serial killers get those psychological problems, all they would have to do if they wanted to deliberately inflict those things, from studying how those things are caused on the natural serial killers, to cause false flag operations for gun control, all they'd have to do is use the gaslighting, gang stalking, mind control together, to basically deliberately make them go through the same stuff that serial killers naturally went through to make them how they are, therefore to make them go and do something bad like that, basically murder, mass murder. And basically what the legal loophole as ties for gaslighting in that video shows to those agencies and those branches, CIA and NSA, is there's no traces that go back to them. It's like they don't touch the victim with their hands or make physical contact with them, verbally speak to them. It's all done covertly, operation wise. MK Ultra, they're speaking silent sound device for the person's ear without most of those people realising they were, and most likely think they've got schizophrenia, the TIs. Gaslighting, gang stalking shows in the video it's covert operations. Not even the person with them would realise the trigger words or the stuff being used, only them. And again, it's a legal loophole for gaslighting, which is why they use it. Like I was saying, say if that Elliot Rogers was with his friend, and he said, oh look, they're pissing me off, they're saying trigger words and stuff, or well, they're saying things to make me paranoid, or they're pissing me off, like, because he would have had the induced paranoia, would have noticed the deliberate trigger words. His friend would have showed concern, say as an example, and been like, you're going crazy, dude, or whatever. These people, and that's the regards of the eyes of those agencies and branches that use them, because they know it's hard to prove it's being done. And like I said, it's all based to no hands contact, no physical or verbal contact with a TI, to lead no traces back to those agencies and branches as to why they use it. And it all ties to what they psychologically study of backgrounds of serial killers, deliberately to induce via gang stalking and MK Ultra mind control, to deliberately make them go and do those things. And where they worked well on the American public to make them believe they were just suddenly loads of psychotic people cropping up recently and going on killing sprees, which is even more suspicious, especially in general different states. But you want to see the seriousness behind that, and I just want to make sure this is on there. Like I said, it's not hard to do, and what I tie to the US military or British army, whoever it is, with soldiers they do, is they actually use psychological techniques to basically toughen soldiers up. And basically they would have studied off other soldiers or whatever, or they would have learned that from psychological study to use on soldiers and armies to basically make them toughened up. Therefore, if they can use certain social conditioning, psychological processes on soldiers to make them how they are and how they be, near enough the same. Surely CIA or NSA could do the same about what they learned, how serial killers be, to make these people who cause these shootings, did the shootings, do what they did. It's not hard to do, and it's just learning how it's done, and they're doing it to someone deliberately. That's all you need to know on that one, to take away skepticism. But like I said, all these ties, especially along with the previous videos I make, along with what I'm talking about now, they derive more suspicion in regards to the NSA and their side of this J-Trig program, ties to gang stalking leaked by Snowden as much, and their GCHQ's operation, tie operation with them, as to say derive suspicion into them, doing things that are even more illegal than just setting people up online who are political activists or their opponents. This is even a serious level to what derives suspicion, and most likely, very most likely, causing people more stateside to go on killing sprees and mass murder just for gun control operations. It's very, very serious, and another thing that needs to be looked into and investigated. It's not right for any agency anywhere across the world to have involvement in any kinds of things like that. Not the way I saw it was portrayed to me anyway. And I just want to leave them on there as well. Like I said, in my case, and simulators to Elliot Rodgers, all our pioneers, I've been having short temper problems and violent tendencies, very easy violent tendencies over the smallest things, no more like pain. Like I said the other day, cat scratched my hand, and I'm not usually to be like that when cats have done that, but I felt like kind of getting violent to the cat just from the pain it made. And the other day when I banged my head on the door handle, picking something up, I was feeling violent just from feeling the pain of it in my head and stuff. And this is all deliberately done from gaslighting, gang stalking, MK Ultra and stuff, or whatever's being done to me, to basically be like that. And it basically makes you very violent minded and short-tempered, and this is probably what Elliot Graham was showing himself, and it's all from electronic rapes, psychological and physical trauma, and the things induced non-stop, continuously for months and months and months, or years or whatever, towards those TIs. With me, it's been since 2006, nearly 10 years now, and like I said, I've what refers back to when I moved into this town is when I noticed I was showing the same signs I've been showing again. I mean, I had a breather period where it stopped, or I was getting better and stuff around 2014 into early this year. Then I started making those videos, ironically, a political subject, and then all of a sudden this stuff started getting heavier on me. Which I didn't realise at the time gang stalking was involved, and the mind control. I learned mind control was being used, gang stalking, and when I learned that, I realised whoever's out there, whoever's doing it to me, brought it down on me 20 times harder than it was being done when I moved into the town, gang stalking. And like I said, it's made me show the same signs before. I'm feeling very, very violent tendencies, short temper over the smallest things, resenting people, feeling very resentful towards people, hateful and hostile. And like I said, all these signs aren't good for me. And like I said, even though I'm aware, I realise it's deliberately being done as much as it was Elliot Rodgers' side. Just luckily for me, I'm aware of what's being done. But like I said, I do notice in the town when I go up there, and when I was in there earlier, there were several people deliberately harassing me, or employing things via the gang stalking technique to basically induce stress and paranoia. What ties back to the fact of this gaslighting video, where they say basically the main principle of gang stalking is. You know, to deliberately induce paranoia and make the person feel paranoid and focus on the gang stalking as a problem itself.
Gaslighting is any behavior or imparting of information that has the effect of making the target distrust their own perception. If you feel like it's cold but everyone tells you it's hot, you start to doubt your reality testing faculties. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse that involves an increasing frequency of systematic withholding of factual information from and/or providing false information to the target, having the gradual effect of making the victim anxious, confused, and less able to trust his or her own memory and perception. Gaslighting tends to intersect with other tactics mentioned such as street theater, cryptic references themes, but generally involves sabotage of a person's belongings and perspective, in order to disturb the target's peace of mind. The goal is to confuse the target to the point where he/she cannot trust their own memories or perspective. Street theater is gaslighting. Via street theater, gaslighting is carried out by networking of stalkers who share some of the same profile information and disinformation about the target. While participating in staged events around the target, this info and disinfo is mentioned to, or out loud around, the target. The basic idea is to let the target know that personal information, personal data or things said and done in the target's home, for example, is known about them. Oftentimes in ongoing harassment the most mundane things are mentioned, such as a phrase the target said earlier that morning, or mentioning an internet site that was visited, etc. This is meant to give the target the impression that everything they do is monitored. In most cases disinformation is also mentioned, but is only pieced together by the target after several run-ins with street theater stalkers. This disinfo can't be the most disturbing, because the target is left to wonder why so many people are referring to the same topics or exact phrases themes. After many run-ins the target can often discern who is a stalker by their demeanor, sometimes their gleefully malicious attitude alone before any new disinfo references are mentioned. Neuro-linguistic programming to instill negative emotions and associations. Again, with seemingly meaningless repetitious phrases, the idea is to confuse the target, who may start questioning their senses when they hear several people mention the same oddly phrased set of words, or if the same topic is brought up all around, while having no real significance in the target's experience. Cryptic references themes is gaslighting. This happens in street theater, but also passing conversation with friends and family members. When the target is profiled, or, as in my case, an explosion event like covert drugging is used to mine information about the target's fears and weaknesses, this information is used to create a collection of key phrases and topics. These triggers are then mentioned in the most casual conversations in an attempt to confuse and upset the target. To complicate matters, as the target starts seeing patterns in the themes, these often come up in conversation from harmless sources, in the way that information normally spreads throughout culture. We all know the example of coming across a new word, only to hear it 5 times throughout the next few days. These organically generated themes tend to make isolating gaslighting rather difficult, if one is in the thick of a campaign of manufactured coincidence. Break-ins and tampering is gaslighting. Gaslighting in this form is the most basic type, in that the goal is to make the target feel confused, or crazy because items go missing or are moved. Quite often there is no sign of break-in, except that one or a few items will be missing, or moved to other locations. In my own experiences, one time the front door had been left unlocked, and a false work order paper left on the kitchen counter. Another time legal documents pertaining to the custody of my son were removed, and I had to exert effort to search and eventually replace the documents, thus losing critical time to formulate my case in the custody suit. Another time clothes of mine had been drug around and left in various places. A book that accomplices had given me was left next to me while I slept. Light bulbs have been changed, small items moved around, and windows and doors left unsecured. Anytime I mentioned these things to others they would tell me I was making connections, where there weren't any. Some well-meaning people will try to tell the target that these are just normal events of misplaced items and forgetfulness. And those with ill intentions do the same, but generally there is also a strong pressure implied that the target better stop acting crazy if he/she wants to continue being thought of as a reasonable person. I also experienced the most active stalkers responding to my mention of things being tampered with by saying, "So what do you make of that?" implying a barely veiled malicious glee of sorts. In this way stalkers seem to enjoy making it known to the target that any attempt to share the gaslighting events with others will only isolate them further from others, who may have a hard time believing that these events are other than normal misfortunes. Gaslighting by friends and family. Oftentimes people closest to the target are approached and fed various lies and programming long before the target even knows that he/she has become a target. When the target tries to relate the events that are happening, the trusted friends and family tell the target various forms of "No, it's your imagination, that's just not likely." And if the target presses them once the stalking events become very intense, the target is subtly encouraged to normalize and quit mentioning the signs of stalking that they see. In my experience, friends and family members are the worst/most effective wielders of gaslighting, as the target, searching for meaning and support, does his/her best to take the supportive advice to heart and regain some semblance of normalcy in their lives. Essentially this push to have the target fall in line and obey normal life dictates, while still being harassed by stranger stalkers and putting up with various other tactics, is forced to live in two worlds. Clearly, this is the very definition of gaslighting. If left suspended in this state, the target may begin to doubt their own experiences, memory and their very self. Induced self-doubt is, indeed, terroristic by its very nature. During the first explosive terrorist attacks on me, I was told again and again, by loving family and friends, that I needed to move forward and, essentially, forget about the traumatic events. And again these gaslighting precursors led me into increasingly dangerous situations, where I could not trust my own intuition about the danger I was walking into further explosion events. Not that these people did this intentionally. Not at all. The ones closest to me, it seems, just really care about me, and it's easier for them to see what I report as delusional than true. There are other issues at work there, but the point is that gaslighting is not always intentional. So, gaslighting permeates the gang stalking experience from day one. As the terroristic events build, the target comes to expect them around every corner. Then as the target tries to regroup and find normal life again, gaslighting, whether intentional or reactionary, is from target's family members, threatens to further complicate the target's intuition and decision-making capability. Gaslighting is at the heart of all gang stalking. Throughout the stalking campaign, whether to confuse or frighten the target, the goal is incessant psychological provocation that, if left misunderstood, or is not countered by the target through disconnection with these vectors of attack, may result in psychological breakdown. An excellent book that gives many examples of unconscious gaslighting and indoctrination, see Gaslighting, The Double Whammy, Interrogation and Other Methods of Covert Control in Psychotherapy and Analysis. Along with the examples of covert control, are many examples of ways a target of such methods of control can respond in order to defuse the covert messages.
Like I said, that's what it causes, and it's shown the same to my side. You know, everywhere I go, I'm always worried. I go out to the flat, and I'm always aware, you know, paranoid about gang stalkers and stuff harassing me instead of being able to focus on what I'm doing, and that's not a good sign at all. Like I said, these programs, what GCHQ and NSA are doing, they need to be closed down. They need to be investigated, and if not, all I know is all those agencies are doing, and the British government, which is a land that stands on an American government, they're basically showing that or implying that they can do crime, and they can get away with it, to me anyway. And if the public are aware of it more, they're basically telling them, and it tells me more, and it should tell anyone who would see how it would be implied that we're living in a country being run by criminals who are lying to us and saying, oh, they're protecting us from attacks, but most likely causing those attacks. And you know, it just puts a flaw in their, you know, their false flag operation techniques. This is what I follow on to regarding those, and what I showed us regarding the gun control. Now you see that GCHQ/NSA joint operation for JTRIG. What it shows is basically their techniques they use. It's more technologically formed, but what I follow on to is these methods can be used also to be used for gang stalking as much as technological, same as problem, reaction, solution, same as I use the 4Ds, disrupt, deny, degrade, deceive, in regards to tabloids and media, not just technology. And like I said, these ones will work as well, and basically it was infiltrate, ruse, set piece operation, false flag operation, and like I said, something like that. And like I said, that was more their technological side with computers and political activists. Now we're on this side of basically, you know, like what they did to Elliot Rodgers is it's no different. You know, they would have basically infiltrated him, i.e. his mind or his private life. They would have set the ruse, which is to deceive him, which would have been, you know, make him believe that it's his paranoia, gaslighting, misinformation to cause him to be like that. Set false peace operation, which was, you know, this was, hold on. That was their plan. You know, their plan would have been, their set piece operation would have been to cause this shooting, you know, to cause gun control in America, or the state which is California. And then after that, you know, the false flag operation after he got murderous, it would have been to, you know, make him go and do that without him realising he was a victim. And then afterwards, like I said, don't worry, I'll just get in the ambulance in there. And then what was it, a set false rescue operation. Now that would have been deliberately having the media there at the time when the police turn up. The police wouldn't be aware, most likely, that it was a false flag operation. They go in there believing there's a shooter on a rampage. And then the last ones were disruption and something else. Those are the final tactics. You know, to me, all those techniques work, and like I said, it means it's deliberately planned. And like I said, it's all tied to the techniques they use for 9/11, 7/7, Paris, which has been twice, Madrid, Sydney, etc. And like I said, until you realise they're being done deliberately, most likely, very, very most likely, or blatantly, obviously, the more that these things they'll just keep doing to the American citizens, wherever countries they attack in regards of what they call terror attacks. And it's very, very bad. You know, we've got things going on which aren't right, and if the public actually acknowledge, whoever gets to see this, that basically these things are deliberately being done and they're not what the media is telling them, the more they'll realise it's very serious and wrong for those people to do. You know, it's like, you know, if you wanted me to use an analogy, you know, of the illogical side to it and the seriousness, it's like me, I don't know, it's like say a man goes and robs and beats you in the street. You know, the same man goes and robs you and beats you in the street. He comes back and then he says someone else beat you up and robbed you, and I'm going to protect you from it. You know, it's like you knowing it was him because you saw his face, and him coming up to you and then saying, "Oh, it was this other man that did it. You know, I'll protect you though. If you, you know, give in to whatever or pay me for it." You'd be standing there going, thinking to yourself, "Wait a minute, I saw you rob me and beat me up, and now you're saying someone else did it, and you're saying, well, I'll protect you. You know, if I pay you or something." You know, it's illogical. And in my eyes, that's how I see all these false flag operations, whether it's gun control, shootings, to you know, attacks like Paris and stuff. Now how I see it, whereas before it would have been like a man coming up, beating me and robbing me, and then another man coming up, a different man, and they're saying they'd protect me from him or whatever, if I paid him protection money, is what the public see. But you know, I'm on the latter of how I see things now, and it's very, very serious. These operations, they need to be closed down, and they need to, you know, they need to be investigated. It's not right for agencies or whatever, like I said, or governments in general. I can't see how anyone else morally, you know, you can see that it's right. You know, it's like, you know, like I said, when I watch Spooks or Cops on America or The Bill, Britain or whatever, you know, Criminal Minds, you know, that shows how the cops, or how I always used to see the cops being, or the FBI, or agencies, spooks and stuff, which is MI5 or 6. And what I'm seeing is what I've discovered is a whole different side. And like I said, there's a reason why they show to the public shows like that. And where the people, where I used to believe that agencies are like, they're honest people and stuff, for a reason. They're not showing the real sides. Behind, you know, what's being done to me. Disclaimer, I've never been an agent, by the way, but you know, more so to Brian Two's side, ex-CIA and stuff. And like I said, these are real sides to it, along with this gang stalking and stuff. And this is wrong in my opinion. You know, all I know is I'm just trying to stop things and change things, and you know, just because of morals and stuff. But like I said, it's up to other people to look into, but I don't agree with it. And like I said, I'm just going into what I know, and I'll keep it on that. Right on here as well is like the brainwashing and stuff, and the trigger words and the double speakers to describe what I mean, and this will help TIs of gang stalking understand more to them as well. I'll leave a picture as an example I saw more humorous. Basically what it is changing away what original words meant. It was a funny one regarding, you know, like sexual words, you know, where they've been changed around to sexualized. But that's basically what double speak is. It's like what the person was originally born to see the words as changed around. But in the regards of trigger words, gang stalking, you know, they turn to different terms, basically to induce paranoia, where the TI doesn't realise secretly they're being implied, and therefore the person finds paranoia. You know, they hear people talking around them, but the techniques used is they sense it's being aimed at them, whatever the word's being used on a certain individual, and it induces paranoia, which causes them to be someone like Kelly Rogers or whatever. And that's basically double speak / trigger words, and which is double speak. This is 1984 George Orwell. It's like brainwashing as well. What was going to go on there? Brainwashing is repetition, and it's basically repeating the same phrases. That could be the gang stalking terms, or even more, where the person keeps hearing the same phrase all the time, which the video shows, and they start to believe they mean something, which are used from a dangerous...
Intelligence and wisdom have been replaced with arrogance and ignorance. Today's songs are a shell of what music should be. Meaningless phrases are repeated until you are brainwashed into thinking they mean something. The art of...
I know the fags think, that's why I'm writing bad gang. To get my point across the head with what you fags think. I'm a rap king, so I'm up with our greatness, but we stuck in the same shit. Artists of mind control.
Same old shit, dog. It's a different day. Here we go again. Same old shit, dog. It's a different day.
The main suspicion is repetition. They make you believe that working 9 to 5 will solve
They're educated, so don't give me your opinion, cause you're replicated. You ain't the big brother educated, so don't give me your opinion, cause you're replicated. You ain't the big brother educated, so don't give me your opinion, cause you're replicated. You ain't the big brother educated, so don't give me your opinion, cause you're replicated. You ain't the...
Yeah, it's just the same old shit, the same mind games, and I was, you know, asking my dad a while back about what obstinate means, and you know, it triggered something in my mind. It could be a coincidence, but
and like you said, this would be another one. What I was going to follow on to briefly put, if you basically always saying same old same old shit or stuff like that, it's usually a sign that you're being brainwashed via MK Ultra more, or gang stalking included, which is always included. Basically what it means is your subconsciousness is sensing that you're being brainwashed. This ties to Dane Clifford, Frequency Unknown, which is about mind control. It's just stuck in the same shit. It's basically talking about repetition. That northern dude, as I mentioned on one of the videos, suspected he was a TI. He said it's just the same old shit really. And as I used to realise, I used to always play DMX, same old shit, dog, just a different day. And they're all three of us mind control victims. It's basically our subconsciouses were telling us. More so me and this northern dude, Northern Britain, basically we sensed we were being brainwashed. And it's our subconscious saying same old shit to say that we're sensing repetition being put into our mind, repetitive stuff, which is brainwashing is based on. Like I said, it's very serious though, and you know, it's something that needs to be looked into. Like I said, I noticed earlier I replied to a friend online that said it's the same old shit really, and if I'm still sensing the same old shit, it means that I'm still under this what they supposedly call thought police, ironically, hypocritically, you know, having shit put in my ear via silent sound, which is some kind of brainwashing stuff. And you know, it's very serious if it is the thought police doing this on legal grounds anyway. Like I said before, with regards to thought police and the devices they use, which is what people should know over here, which we'll go into, is they are basically MK Ultra mind control device technology, you know, just relabeled with a different name called thought police, but they're exactly the same device they listen to and also infiltrate the person's mind. Now, what I said last night was basically don't disregard the use for the police on actual criminal suspects or criminals, terrorists and stuff, where they can infiltrate their minds so they, before they go and do something. Now that's fair, justifiable, but on someone like me who's what's seen as a political activist, a law-abiding citizen, you know, it's a whole different story anyway, in an arguable case. Even more what I'm sensing is being put into my mind, or what has been for years. That shows a lot of concern. It's actually coming from Scotland Yard in London, and like I said, that's something I would like to look into as well. Now, as I said, that's basically what it is. Like I was saying before, yesterday, you know, the Fiestas, the older Fiestas, which look like there's a Mazda, which looks like them, they're just rebadged. That's what basically MK Ultra thought police devices are. You know, imagine them as a one of those Fiesta Mazdas, you know, which look like, which are Fiestas rebadged. They know that they do the same thing. They just got different badges on. And like I said, what the CIA did years ago with MK Ultra is they sold this technology to other agencies overseas.
The brain is our frontal cortex. If the amygdala is the first floor, the cortex is the second floor of the brain. It's the brain's thin, wrinkly outer layer that's divided into 4 sets of lobes.
If you unfolded the cortex of a monkey, it would be about the size of a piece of paper. If you unfolded our cortex, it's about 4 sheets of paper large. And the reason it's wrinkly is because you have to squish that all inside of the skull.
The frontal lobes comprise the area just above our eyes, and these are the newest rooms of the brain. As humans evolved, the frontal lobes became the place where conscious, rational thought is processed. It's where we do our problem solving. The frontal lobes are so interesting because they are really the conductor.
Yes, I was used in
They
CIA black budget
synchronize
operations.
all activity.
Many of them
Scientists
of a
made a
military
major breakthrough
nature.
in fear research when
I
they
was
found that
a mind
information
control
from our
victim,
senses reaches the
in these same
amygdala
black
almost
budget
twice as
operations.
fast as it takes to get to our
I was
frontal
used as a
lobes.
propagandist by the CIA
The speed
to
of the
help
different
bring in
brain
the New
signals
World
means,
Order. I
unless
was
we
actually a
instinctively
media
know
person. I
how
still
to
am.
react to a
Radio and
potential
TV
threat,
and print
we
journalism.
may freeze in
And
fear,
basically they
waiting for
sent
the
me up
frontal
to a
lobes
CIA
to
front
catch up
company
to figure out
to
the right
propagate
response.
the New
Part of what
World Order
happens with
through
fear and
New
panic
Age
is
propaganda.
the unknown, is not knowing what to do next, and so your brain simply freezes the way a deer freezes in the
Britain
headlights.
was mentioned, it was MI6, I believe, but you know, they're basically the branch over Scotland Yard, which means most likely they gave, or what it shows that the British government have hold of what CIA was said to give to other branches, and then that would tie to say of what I've experienced. What they supposedly call thought police is actually mind control, and what I've experienced with partially that, along with the gang stalking, tells me a lot of its real purpose on me anyway. You know, I'd argue against my case where the Prime Minister David Cameron said it's for criminals and terrorist suspects when I'm not either a terrorist or a criminal. And if I was supposedly classed as one, I'd like to be addressed, if that's the case, please. Like I said, a law-abiding citizen. What I was following on to as well, as to why, you know, it would be a good use, and let's tie back to our MK Ultra America side, about their targeted individuals. When they can hear their thoughts, they can mine their thoughts. They can hear their paranoia, what make their weaknesses, what cause them paranoia, to basically so they could tell their gang stalkers the techniques to use. Whether, say, Elliot Rodgers found whistling, he was laying there at night thinking, I'm paranoid when they whistle, or I'm paranoid when they clap their hands, or whatever. And basically what they would, from mining their thoughts, infiltrating their thoughts, they could basically know what to use to cause more of paranoia, which would have been more of a use via MK Ultra on their TIs in America stateside. You know, they can hear their thoughts, they can find their secret weaknesses, and it would be a good use on their side. Like I said, who knows if it's with me as well, on Britain's side. But it's very, very serious, and I just want to make sure this is heard, and you know, looked into as well. You know, how would you like it stateside more so? You know, if you're actually Congress, or, you know, as part of the American government, and you found, and then they chose one of your kids or one of your family members as a TI to do cause a false flag operation, you know, someone in your family, and you found that out, would you get off your ass then, and then want it looked into yourself, or would you just let everybody shit on all of the American citizens, honestly put, and they shit on America itself, just for bribery? And like I said, I condemn it because of morals, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. And like I said, if you ever experience it, it's very, very serious stuff. It's the most traumatic, sickest stuff that could ever be done to you. And like I said, stateside, those shooters, how they showed on their last videos, show how much it can basically inflict a lot of pain to the person, to turn them basically into a psychotic sounding murderous person. And this is why the seriousness of it needs to be looked into regarding those things. Cheers.